There we go. See? Too worried about my Ukrainian heritage. Bring that beat back. It's like your DJ Colson Schultz over there today. Arash Madani, you see him on the stream joining us. Hey, we got some breaking news in the CFL, Arash. Buck
We
Pierce.
do, but just yeah, let's get into that in a sec. I was listening to your part of your conversation. I got to tell you this: it's not Cabo, but those NHL. This is the unknown part about the NHLers at the Olympics. They party. They party hard. They don't stay in the village because they can't stay in the village. What was it, the 98 Olympics or the 2002 Olympics ruined that when the Americans destroyed the place? But I was in Sochi in 2014, and Austria House was among the places where those boys threw down. And when other athletes finished their competition and wanted to get loose, the NHLers were more than happy to congratulate them on a performance well done. So let's not pretend it's nose to the grindstone for 2.5 weeks when the NHLers are at the Olympics, fellas.
Let's keep in mind, most of these Canadian hockey players, Colson and Curtis have never been around this, but they grew up with going to tournaments with their buddies, and their parents would have a bathtub full of ice with beer, a cooler full of ice and beer and drinks over there. You grow, it's part of the culture.
Sure. And also, like, think about what an NHLer's lifestyle is. Like, for the 2.5 weeks, you're not getting on a plane the entire time you get there. There's no road trips. There's a practice a day. There's 3 round-robin games over the course of, like, 10 or 11 days before the medal rounds start. There's very little film study. There's just so much less obligation and quote unquote work time. And honestly, like, there's no collective bargaining agreement there. The dudes just do what they want to do. The coach doesn't. Well, what's the coach going to do? Is John Cooper really going to tell Connor McDavid he's going to reduce his ice time? Like, come on. It's a short period of time.
As if Cooper's not guzzling pints after the game, right?
Cooper enjoys a milkshake now. Cooper enjoys his milkshakes. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, and no judging here, and go hard. And
I admire it.
Especially the players. You sweat out everything anyway, so maybe you're not up to whatever. I like it. Nice look behind the curtain. British Columbia Lions allegedly have it. Oh no, it is. It's on their site. It's been reported.
Official.
Yeah, it's official. New head coach there.
Buck Pierce comes over, the offensive coordinator of the Bombers the last few years. And look, I think a lot of this, guys, is when you point at 2 things. One, Ryan Rigmaiden is now the GM in BC. He and Buck Pierce have a good relationship, a strong relationship. They've worked together before. The other, and I find this one really interesting, is Neil McAvoy's now, I think his title is like VP of Football Operations, but he was effectively the GM last year too. But he's been around BC for a long time. If you watch or listen to any of Neil's media availabilities, press conferences the last 2-3 years, he always talks about BC wanting to reach the Winnipeg standard. Now, I don't know what the Winnipeg standard is. To a lot of people, that's a lot of different things. So they bring over the play caller. And of course, Buck played in BC back in the day too. So it's an interesting hire that you bring a guy who's never been a head coach before, but at a time where you have Nathan Rourke needing to take the next step forward at quarterback, your head coaching hire is a former quarterback.
Yeah. This one was the one that I thought was the slam dunk. Like maybe the kill him in Edmonton. I didn't think that. I know it was gaining steam. And like you said, the relationship with the GM. Curious, like, will he be a good head coach? Because we talk about that all the time, right? Just because you played and you're a good assistant coach, are you going to be a good head coach? I don't know Buck at all. But there's a guy like Richie Hall too. It's like, well, how come Richie's never been the head coach? Maybe he doesn't want it. Steve Spagnuolo style. I'm just content over here doing my thing. Like, how well do you know Buck? Like, what kind of head coach do you think he'll be, Arash?
I honestly, Barney, I don't know. And I don't think anybody really does know. But I think the most important thing to kind of realize and understand here is this hire is a reaffirmation of how all in the BC Lions are on Nathan Rourke. Like, at a time where you look around the league, what have the coaching hires been of late? Well, I think last year the main one was Scott Milanovic went to Hamilton, former quarterback. The year before, Jason Moss went to Montreal, former quarterback. Ryan Dinwiddie's won a couple of championships in Toronto, hired 4 years ago or 3 years ago, former quarterback. You're realizing now that the kind of trend has become we need to have, or we want to have, a former quarterback get their hands on these guys. And especially for a young quarterback like Rourke, when they've given him the keys to the franchise and all the money, maybe putting a defensive-minded guy there isn't the right call. So I think that's what you're really seeing now with this move.
How do you explain the journey of Mark Killam and where he started and now where he is?
I gotta tell you, fellas, I think this is one of the real cool stories. And forget about football and forget about the CFL, but just of like that anybody can actually do anything. Like, Mark Killam went to Lethbridge Collegiate Institute, like from LCI to the head coach of one of the flagship franchises in the league. Here you had a guy, for those watching on the stream, I mean, he did not stop smiling the entire time. An Alberta boy gets to go be the head coach at Commonwealth Stadium. And Mark Killam, it's not that he came out, right away with this football pedigree. If you followed his career from the beginning, Killam actually started as a strength and conditioning coach with the Stampeders in the CFL. And he learned the football side of the business and was around it and realized the more that he could contribute, the more that he could learn, the better. And what I find amazing about this is that here you have, a strength coach who becomes a special teams coach who, there aren't a lot of people, guys, who last 15 years in one organization. Killam did in Calgary. And as a special teams coach, you have your hands on almost the entire roster between kickoff return, punt return, field goal. And so many former players validated for him. So many said, this is the leader. This is the guy. I think Mark Killam's name, and his name has always been kind of there in head coaching interviews and conversations. This was Rick Campbell's job to lose, and then Mark Killam went and won it. So congratulations to an Alberta guy to go do that, and from pretty humble roots, but pretty amazing.
I wish him luck as well, Arash. He is a good guy. I just don't know how much success he's going to have, but who knows? Maybe he will have a ton of success there. As he said, a lot of people really validate for Mark Killam. A lot of people consider him a great fella. Now, speaking of his former organization, the Calgary Stampeders, do you feel the Stampeders, because of the year that they had and how bad they stunk, really, that do you think that they are going to probably be one of the teams that's going to have a lot of change, or maybe the most change going into next season?
Yeah, I think they already are in the midst of that. Well, first of all, remember, they fired Killam. They fired defensive coordinator Brent Monson. They fired their defensive line coach. It's like, wait a minute, those are the issues around here. I honestly look at this whole situation, and I gotta tell you, I don't know if there's a team right now more lost in the direction in which it's been heading and headed. It's been heading in a bad spot for a while now than the Stamps. They just feel like they've lost their compass. They've lost their GPS. They don't know where they're going. And there's stormy waters ahead. Like, the West is getting even more competitive. I think Calgary's in some real trouble unless there's some major, major changes this offseason.
Should we shift to NFL and what we saw last night?
Your boy?
Yeah.
Your
My
boy,
boy.
famous Jameis?
Oh boy. I would really like that'd be a real interesting few pints or a supper with that guy. I don't know. We ran through it at the start of the show. You throw for almost 500 yards and you lose. I don't
Barney,
know.
500 yards and 4 touchdowns. The problem is he threw 6, right? 4 were to his team. They found Njoku early in the game. They got back into the game with another one right before the half. You're saying to yourself, okay, they're in decent spot here. You know, Winston's able to throw the ball deep to Jerry Jeudy, 70-yard touchdown pass. But to throw a pick 6 in the first half and then follow that up down 2, under 2 minutes to go, and then throw a second pick 6? Oh boy. Oh boy, what do you do?
If you like back and forth games, if Jameis Winston is the quarterback of the team that you cheer for, you're going to have some nervous nights. But if you don't have a dog in the fight, if you're just watching the game yesterday, you don't really care about it, you don't have a sports bet on it, you're not a Broncos fan, you're not a Browns fan, you're just there to watch, you're just tuning in to watch an entertaining game. Jameis Winston can give you that quite often, Arash, because he's kind of like the Reggie Jackson, I was saying this earlier, of football. You know, Reggie Jackson quite often would go up there and a lot of people, when you think about Reggie Jackson, you talk about Mr. October and he was this great player, but Reggie Jackson struck out like more than basically anyone. He either went yard or he struck out and turned around and tucked tail and put his head down and walked back to the dugout. Jameis Winston's kind of like that with football. It's either touchdowns or picks, and he's throwing and lots of things are happening with Jameis Winston when he's playing football.
Jameis Winston, and for those watching on the stream, here's the pick 6. Man, you're down 2 under 2 minutes to go, and throw a second one.
If you need the 6.5 there, though, you are one fist. I was gonna text you, but it was like midnight, and I'm like, it might be late.
So you use the Reggie Jackson analogy. I was trying to think before I came on. What's the proper analogy? I would say this is a race car that's got max speed by far, can go 30, 40 miles an hour faster than any other race car, and it has no brakes. Like it's a million miles an hour for good or for bad. And you're just there for the whole experience because that's what you're going to get.
If you play low stakes poker, actually, if you play any poker with Jameis Winston, he's that guy that goes all in and he just bets, and he's got like a 9 and a 4 offsuit or 7 and a 2, and he's like, I call. It's like, what are you doing? It makes no sense.
And the thing is, Barney, he's calling if he's got pocket kings or if he's got 7-3 offsuit. Like, it's unbelievable.
That's what I mean.
All gas, no brakes.
7-3 offsuit, king, ace on the board, and he's pushing all in with some guy. It's like, all right, that's Jameis Winston, I think. We should find out if he plays poker.
Yeah, and the issue is, from time to time, you might win a hand, but over the course of the long haul, you're just not.
Yeah. Here's a question for both of you. First to Arash. Actually, go first to Bidsy, then Arash. If the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles played tomorrow night, let's go neutral site even. Who are you taking in that game?
Ooh, neutral site.
I'm taking neutral site. Okay, I'm taking Detroit. I think that Detroit's defense is built to stop the run, and once you can slow down Saquon Barkley, then make Philly one-dimensional, I think it's advantage Lions.
So you waited too long, Bidsy. He just jumped in. Yeah. You got to be quick.
He did. I guess so. Yeah. No worries. I'm gonna piggyback, I guess, or say the same thing, but I was going to. Neutral site makes it a little more interesting, just because if it was in Detroit, they have such an advantage there at Ford Field. But with my heart and with my head, Detroit Lions, I've become a big fan, as I think I mentioned before here in Saskatoon. We always got Detroit TV growing up, so I always felt bad for Mel Farr, the superstar, and the Detroit Lions back then, Charlie Ward and everybody else. Wayne Fonts and them losing all the time. And now they just got something rolling there, and it's a wagon, as Shink would say. And I'm on board with it too. I just love it.
A Telegraph Road wagon. That's where Melfar Superstars car dealership was on Telegraph Road, by the way. Yeah. How's that for a memory of useless information?
There you
go. Trevor Lawrence, hope he's okay. Right here, Shahir's got 3 games. You got to think that's ugly, dangerous, disgusting. Anything else?
No, it's all of the above. The issue with the suspension is that it's pin the tail on the donkey discipline. It's the blind guy just kind of going around and then arbitrarily coming up with 3. Okay, so you have somebody who has never been suspended before, who has, the Houston GM basically came out and said the league statement was BS. How do you consistently apply discipline? Look, there's no spot for that in the game. He should have been ejected. He should get a game. But how do you land on 3? Like 3 out of 17 is the NHL equivalent of a 15-game suspension. So this is going to get appealed by the players' union. I wonder if it gets reduced, etc. But it
he's never been suspended.
It doesn't belong in the game. He's never been suspended.
Oh, see that? I didn't know that little nugget, because some of the stuff that he's pulled, I'm like, the choke slam and Tom Brady. That's an outside the bar move. What is he doing there? Like, there's no.
Yeah.
That's I didn't know I thought he had been suspended before, so that's why we had it on the program right there. Let's talk golf. I love it. It's getting to that time of the year where we kind of start thinking, is Tiger Woods going to play? Is Tiger Woods going to play? Tiger, we all want, a lot of us, I'm not going to be that guy that says we all want. A lot of us golf guys want Tiger back, want him to perform. We don't want Tiger going into the ring like Mike Tyson, though.
You know what? And it feels like it kind of could be that way. It's a great analogy. Look, Tiger's hosting 20 of the top players in the world in the Bahamas for his tournament. And he just says, I'm nowhere near ready for a competitive level. And the word is, guys, is that he just had his 6th back surgery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, for context purposes, Mark Schlereth, former NFL offensive lineman for Washington and Denver, he said in his career he had 13 knee surgeries and 1 back surgery. He said, I'd rather have 26 knee surgeries than a 2nd procedure on my back. Tiger can barely walk right now. The fact that he's now had 6 of those things, 1 nearly killed Steve Kerr. We all want to see it because we remember the magic of Augusta 2019. We remember the roars. We remember what once was. I think the Tyson analogy is apropos. I mean, man, it's kind of that broken down athlete, and what's left of him.
How does It is. It's really too bad. I will say this about Tiger as well, though, too. Just watching the video, if you are watching here on sportscage.com, but you've probably seen Tiger Woods or some video of him recently. Tiger Woods still looks ripped, and Tiger Woods still looks in great shape. Like, he's not carrying around any extra LBs. Tiger, good for him for staying so fit, because that is very difficult to do when you feel healthy. Never mind when you have a bad back. If there's a reason to not get up and go to the gym, it's because you got a bad back. But man, Tiger still looks great. Yeah. But you can tell he just can't move, like he used to, just even in general. So how is he going to be able to swing hard like he used to?
Yeah, his nutrition habits might be a little different than ours.
Could be. He's got
right. He didn't go to Agribition and buy 18 different kinds of beer sticks and crush half of them this weekend.
Just Western
be
Pizza
excited.
and Lucky Lager, all the
And
time.
that's
Or
right.
I was gonna say, like me and the staff here, we were really excited because it was Tuesday, so we went to Taco Time so we could get 14 tacos. Probably not the same.
like, why would you have to bring up taco time? Now I'm going to be starving. At least if it was Thursday, it was burrito full Thursday where you get half price burritos. Now I'm definitely hitting taco time on the way home. Hot sauce. Arash,
Surprise.
do you like taco time is the OG?
Poor Mrs. Sports Cage, who's got to deal with the aftermath of Taco Time.
No, they're going to Taylor
Yes.
Swift. They're loading up the truckster. They're going Taylor Swift, so they don't. Yeah, I'm an afterthought.
Fantastic.
Hey, the last thing I wanted, we could go down that whole rabbit hole. Taco time's the best. Oh, okay. Sorry,
Hot sauce.
everyone driving home right now. Have you ever had Mexi Fries Deluxe from Taco Time? Because that, I seriously, I didn't know that existed until like 4 years ago.
No.
Okay, I'm not going to ruin it. It is but Mexi Fries Deluxe. Got a funny feeling you're going to be looking for a little delivery of Taco Time in the next 24 hours.
Hard shell or soft shell?
Can we go two of each?
I go two. I was going to say I go 2 and 2. I go 2 and 2.
Two of each. Treat yourself to some Crustos too. Nothing wrong with a little Crustos for dessert.
Crustos for dessert.
It's awesome. Hey, then we got to add it to the list. Whenever you come to Regina, we're going Western Pizza and we're going Taco Time. Let's just do it all.
Oh man, I'll make sure to bring a full bottle of Tums.
No, God, our Saskatchewan inside. We can roll this stuff. We can go back to back days. I've gone back to back days. Yeah. Okay. Talk to you Thursday.
See you, boys.
See
you, pal.
Coast to Coast.